Okay, so Contested Territories was re-released just a day or so ago, depending on your time zone, and I'm going to be doing a quick playthrough of how I get started on a low city level account. Now, farms are very important in getting far in contested territories, since you really need to use as many of your most powerful towers as possible. So it's taken me a couple of playthroughs to figure out exactly how much farming I can do early on, but I basically figured out, start with a 1-0 farm and a 0-0 ninja, and then just start upgrading that ninja for a while is a pretty great start. The ninja is a cheap tower, and it has, cheap upgrades, relatively cheap. It's not saving up for a couple $1,000s for a single upgrade, so you can kind of upgrade as you go along the first couple rounds, which works out well. And you also notice I lost a couple lives, but rather than thinking of this as another BMC tile where you have to get no lives lost to earn Bloonstones, you should rather think of it as a BTD5 apocalypse mode, where you have to use lives as one of your resources. If you spend money on spikes, you're gonna lose out on money that you could use to build up your economy. So, I start off with, a low ninja, get him up to about 3-1, and that can last me a few rounds where I build up a couple more farms. Now, I played about 5 rounds there with a 1-0 farm, which is roughly, I don't know, what is that? About an extra $1,200 there, by starting off with that, which is going to be a help when you're going for the next upgrade and everything. So this is the same account where I'd reached the edge with, so I have a number of helpful upgrades. I actually went ahead and got my city level up by 1 more, just so I could get a couple more, like the Monkey Intelligence Bureau, which I hadn't had, as well as Banana Research Facility, whatever the, I don't know, in-city name for that is, so that I can actually use farms in-game. So, after a couple of farms, I went with the Boomerang Thrower, and I'm going to be using the Glaive Ricochet. The upgrade is very useful for clumps of balloons, and as well as for leads and things. Now, when we get to the end game, since this is a jungle map, I won't be able to use ice towers, so you have to kind of think outside the box here. Since I don't have anything else that's really powerful, like super monkeys or anything, I decided to go with cluster bomb spam, just using as many as I could to clean up the children from all the blimps. Eventually it gets the better of me, but so does the balloons on any setup. So with just these 2 towers, the 3-2 ninja and the 3-2 boomerang thrower, you can actually get fairly far. Another option, if you have it, is to go for Bloonjitsu, which is the 4-2 upgrade for ninja monkeys. That works out fairly well, but this combination works a little bit better on a lower level account. So after I maxed out the number of farms I could use, I only have 4 farms available and only up to 2-0, I started building my defense. So I put the village down first because you want to save as much money as possible here. I'm eventually going to sell it once I finish off that spike factory. And you also noticed I did sell the spike factory and replace it because I didn't like the position. The balloons that were coming in from the starting track were hitting the spikes, so I had to move it back a little bit farther so that wouldn't happen anymore. Now, one thing to note, I did go up to 2-3 on that spike factory. because DDTs are now in contested territory. So that's something you have to watch out for. So now I'm starting to build up just general defense. Starting to put down a cluster bomb or two, and I'm going to start upgrading that village. Eventually I'm going to have the Monkey Intelligence Bureau, the X3, the right path upgrade, up to level 3, but that doesn't come for a little bit. So yeah, I mean, if you watch from the very beginning, you'd notice I did reach level 36, around 36 already. I did that last night when I was just kind of testing out the difficulty here, and I figured I'd do a video today and kind of show how I got that far. Now, the setup I'm using is slightly different. I'm moving the positions, but pretty much the buy order is pretty much the same as what I did last night. Now, the lower spike factory there, the third one on the bottom on the right, I am going to eventually move that. I was just kind of throwing them down, seeing how things looked, and I didn't like the way it looked, so I moved it. Now, eventually, those spike factories on the right are going to be under a Monkey Intelligence Bureau, so I don't have to spend money on the White Hot Spikes upgrade, which saves me a couple $100, which, you know, is very nice when you're a lower level like this. So, about, what is it, 23 at the moment. So, pretty much what we have in now is going to be able to survive the first couple Moabs, maybe even a BFB or two. I think they're coming in the next round or two, if I remember correctly. And without ice, you basically have to rely on other towers to do the same job that they would. So for this map, I decided to go with glue and bomb towers. You know, the cluster bombs work fairly well, especially when you get a bunch of them in there. I may have gone a little bit too strong on them in terms of cleanup. I probably should have stayed with maybe 4 or 5 and put my other 3 bomb towers as Moab Maulers, but I decided to just go for more cluster bombs there. So that's actually where I decided to move the other spike factory, now that I've actually seen where things are going and where I can place things. And I decided to throw them up underneath where that boomerang thrower is, so I have to get him out of the way. Ideally, I would have liked to have found a better spot for the boomerang thrower, so I wouldn't have to sell him and then rebuy him later, which would save me a little bit of money. But for the early game, that was the best spot I found for him that worked well against some of those early regen rushes. So now we're up at 30. We've already passed by everybody else in the group, although I haven't passed my high score yet. And there we just had first DDT. And you can see the setup dealt with them, you know, very, very well. The cluster bombs are all under the Monkey Intelligence Bureau, so they can damage the DDT layer, but more importantly, they all have camo detection being under that village so that they can deal with all the children. The spike factories are actually going to be most of the blimp popping power right now. So, I decided this time through I was going to keep my farms in for as long as possible. I think I had sold them off in the early 30s, around 33 or 34 on the first game, because I thought I needed a little bit more money, but this playthrough the defense seemed to be holding up a little bit better, so I didn't need to sell them as early. You also have to note that there's not really too much else that I can spend money on that will be helpful. I have a couple more ninjas, some dart monkeys, and maybe a dartling gunner that could be helpful, but that's about it at the moment. So ideally what you want to do is sell off your farms when you have enough money to build everything you have. And that's at, the lower levels. For the higher levels, when you're at city level 40, you can farm a bit more aggressively since you have more farms and more starting cash. And then you generally don't need to sell off your farms, and you can get some stronger towers in there, such as super monkeys, and you could use tier 4 upgrades, which I don't have any of since you need to be city level 18 to use those. So on my level 40 account, city level 40 account, I had actually used the left spike factory there. I had used a balloon impact, the 4 left path upgrade 4 for the bomb tower, and a ring of fire, the left path tier 4 upgrade for the tack shooter, and a balloon jitsu as my main defense, which got me up until I had enough money to place a temple, or at least place a sun god to use as the temple. So I squeezed in the rest of my ninja monkeys, and now I'm throwing in as many darts as I can, dart monkeys, to use as some extra popping power. I'm playing this round a little bit slowly because, or at least without fast forward on, because it's the one I lost on last night. So I'm kind of playing it by ear, seeing if I need to sell off those farms to buy more dart monkeys, which is what I did. With the 2 ZOMGs there, that's going to be a bit of a struggle here, but you'll see I actually am able to pass this round. But the next round, of course the difficulty steps up again, and I'm not able to get through then. So most people at this city level don't have these exact upgrades, notably the Moab Shredders, the right path 3rd upgrade for the Spike Factory, or the Monkey Intelligence Bureau, which are both incredibly helpful for this game mode. So that was the round I lost on last time, and I was able to pass it. I actually decided to sell this boomerang thrower since I couldn't get him under the village, and try and replace him since I had enough cash. And then after that, it's just kind of seeing how far this setup can go, which is only one more round. But that's just a kind of preview into contested territory. On any other map, a non-jungle map, I would be using ice towers. I'd be using the Arctic Wind under Monkey Intelligence Bureau so that I could use more Moab Maulers instead of cluster bombs, which would help out a lot more. And here with 3 ZOMGs, it's basically going to run through my defense. I can cut through a couple of them, but that last one is going to be pretty disastrous. But it does set a new high score, and that's all that matters. So I've got that on video. So hopefully this can help you guys with how to get started. So thanks for watching.